I was 30 years. I think I was 30 years old. Moved back in with my mom. Had no money. I mean, I was the biggest loser on planet Earth. And but that was when like I made the decision like this is gonna be my redemption right here. And I got to give a shout out to my mom. Just an unbelievable, amazing woman. Like she was really my rock, and she kept me from falling further and allowed me to really focus in on this marketing agency, creating content, putting courses together, reaching out to people, and eventually it just started to take off, and here we are today. So
What's going on, fellow wealth builders? I got Matt Twishel with me. He goes by Matty Ice on YouTube, and let me tell you guys, he's such a wealth of knowledge, and he's got an amazing story. And so I just wanted to bring him on and allow him to talk about where he came from and where he is now. It's pretty inspirational, and I think you guys will get a lot of awesome takeaways from it. So Matt, kind of fill me in on like where you came from and where you're going.
Yeah, man. Well, first, I appreciate you being here and having me on your channel. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and following your journey. Since we're part of Life 180 together, and kind of on a similar mission. It's been really cool hearing your story as well. So, yeah, it's been quite the journey. I originally so right now, I mean, we're part of the same insurance agency, Life 180, where we're helping people with infinite banking, dividend paying whole life insurance, exposing things like the risk of IUL and all this stuff. But my background is actually in marketing. My primary business before this was a marketing, and I still have it, but it was a marketing agency. And it's funny because I don't really recognize my life right now as compared to what it was barely 4 years ago. That's where my marketing agency really started to take off. And my story is that I made pretty much every mistake in the book. I completely screwed my life up. I just drove it right into the ground. I lost my house to foreclosure. I racked up tens of thousands of dollars of credit card debt. There was one point where I had to pawn things off. I remember what it was. It was a shotgun and my guitar, kind of random, but just to put food on the table because my credit cards were maxed out at that point, and I was just lost. I had originally, I was a barber and hairdresser for a long time, about 8 years. Did that right out of high school, and I was actually doing pretty well with that. And we were talking before we went live. That was an opportunity that I let go that I probably shouldn't have, because the plan was to eventually run the salon, maybe start a satellite location, and by now I could probably have 3, 4, 5 salons right now for doing pretty well, but. I got into like stock and options trading, and I was kind of just wanting to get the easy money, easy, quick money. And I tried to do that for a long time. And I eventually quit being a hairdresser, and I packed up all my stuff and pretty much uprooted my life here in Jacksonville, Florida, and moved to Las Vegas. And I was there for about 7 years. And that's when, man, things really started to go downhill. I didn't plan that very well. And I did not become an amazing stock and options trader. I had a few successes here and there, but nothing consistent. And things just kind of slowly progressed downward, unfortunately. And like I said, I lost the house that I had in Jacksonville, Florida. I actually have it as part of my tattoo here as a reminder. It's Roman numerals for the number of the house. It's 8705.
Wow.
And I actually drive by it every once in a while, and I'll look it up on Zillow because I originally bought it for $79,000 back in 2009.
Holy moly!
And it's worth like two and a quarter now, $225,000 now. It's ridiculous. So it's the sting, but it's a reminder how far I've come, and that with enough persistence, obstacles can be overcome. And I eventually landed on. In the midst of all that, I was trying to figure out how to fix my life, and I landed on doing marketing. I thought it was really cool to be able to generate leads for businesses, get them customers, help them grow their business. Like that was something that I could really get behind. And I just started learning how to do that. And I remember I posted an ad on Craigslist offering to do a free Facebook ad campaign for any business. Just give me a testimonial in exchange, right? because I wanted to test the things out that I was learning, get results. And I knew that if I could show people like, hey, I can get results for you, that'd be a lot easier to promote. Right.
Yeah.
And I got two people that responded to that. One was a business loan broker and the other was a permanent makeup artist. And I ran campaigns for them and they did really good. The campaigns worked really well. I was like, holy smokes, I got something here. And I got the testimonials. And what I did was I did the same thing that I was actually doing with my stock and options trading, where I was, when I was doing the stock and options trading, I was documenting my results and the trades and the setups and just breaking everything down and in these videos. And I'd upload them, not even to YouTube. It was Vimeo, however you pronounce it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And I did that more for me to go back through and learn, use it as a learning resource for me. But eventually it actually started building an audience. And it got to the point where people would pay me a little bit, nothing crazy. It was $10 a month or $99 a year. And we would do like live trades and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, smokes, this is pretty cool. I'm actually making money online here and people are paying me for the service. And I eventually shut that down. But I took that concept, that little bit of success that I had with that, and I applied it to the marketing agency.
Okay.
And I just started documenting my results, putting it on YouTube. And it eventually just started to take off. It took a long time. I didn't really know what I was doing with it, but that eventually turned into a multiple 6-figure per year business.
But you started you started both at the same time, right? Like your marketing agency, you were putting everything.
Yeah, with the YouTube channel.
Yep.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, everything I was doing with my marketing agency, I was putting on my YouTube channel, and I just did that consistently. And I go back through some of my first videos; they were just awful, just terrible. Before I knew anything about like video editing and thumbnails and all that stuff. But it was back in so I was in Vegas for 7 years. I moved back to Jacksonville, Florida, right as the pandemic was getting bad. It was March of 2020.
Wow.
I moved back in with my mom. I was 30 years old, moved back in with my mom, had no money. I was the biggest loser on planet Earth. But that was when like, I made this decision, like, this is going to be my redemption right here. And, I got to give a shout out to my mom, just an unbelievable, amazing woman. Like, she was really my rock, and she kept me from falling further and allowed me to really focus in on this marketing agency, creating content, putting courses together, reaching out to people. And eventually it just started to take off, and here we are today. So it was quite the journey.
So basically, money here, quick money there. And really, when you boil it down, the money is where you plant and where you water the grass, right? The more you water the grass, the bigger it becomes, the more it grows. And so, just sticking with one thing will make you so much more successful.
Yeah.
I think Andrew Carnegie said, put all your eggs in one basket and watch it grow, which is the opposite of what everybody teaches. So
right. Especially in business. I would very much agree with that. In business, put them in one basket. That's what I did with the marketing agency. And money is the byproduct of how much value you provide to the marketplace. Right. So if you're focused on providing value to people, solving problems, like really solving problems and doing it in the best way that you can, the money will follow. And that's where I had it wrong for so long. Like, I was putting the money first, not focusing on the value that I could provide to people in exchange for the money. So I think when you have to stick with it too, because like I said, there were other opportunities that I let go. I actually did life insurance for a while, just doing like mortgage protection and final expense and stuff. Yep. And I let that go too, because it wasn't making money fast enough. Even though I was actually making progress with it, I just didn't stick with it long enough to really build that foundation and let the roots take place so that it could blossom into a successful business. So yeah, that shiny object syndrome, man, that's probably one of the biggest obstacles, I think, to people's success is they don't stick with things long enough in order for it to bear any fruit. So Yeah, that's you gotta figure out what it is. What do you want to do? How do you want to provide value to people? What are you good at? Stick with it, and eventually, over time, it's going to produce results. So
100%. So walk me through some of those struggles and those hardships that you had when you decided that you were going to start this marketing agency and this is what you were going to do and you weren't going to quit until it was successful. Like, walk me through some of the biggest hurdles that
yeah,
you had to overcome.
the biggest hurdle was my mindset, man. Because I just, when I moved back in with mom, had hardly any money, didn't have a car. I mean, I was just, 30 years old, and it was the lowest. It was absolutely the lowest point, right? And when you're in that state, it's really hard to get out of your own way, but it's crucial that you do. Like, you just, and the thing that I would tell myself is it can't get any worse than this, so I'm just going to keep going. There's no way that I could screw my life up any worse than I already have, so I might as well keep going. And I'm certainly not going to fix it and get out of this if I do quit. So that's when, like, I made the decision, like, I don't care how bad I feel, like, I'll deal with that, but I'm going to do something every single day. I don't care what it is. I'm going to study. I'm going to reach out to some people, potential prospects. I'm going to create a piece of content, whatever. I don't care if it produces any results right now or not. I'm just going to keep taking action, and eventually something will happen. Right. And thank God I did, because, it's, like I said, it's really easy to quit during that time. But had I quit, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. Like, the success that I have now is all because of the content that I started creating and sharing with people. And I discovered what kind of the formula for success for me when I look back on all of that and just overcoming all the stuff. I can put it into a simple 3-step formula now, and that is high value skill set plus massive action plus time equals success. That's exactly what I did.
We got to make it. We got to make a T-shirt of that.
Yeah, for sure. It's like that. It's because that's just what worked for me. I honed in on this value, the skill set that people valued, were willing to pay good money for. I just got better and better and better at it every single day, just testing new things and whatnot. And then I took massive action, creating content, sharing that, teaching people how to do it, sharing the results I was getting, and then just gave it time. And eventually it turns into success. And
now,
that was the formula that I really discovered throughout that time.
How did you feel as you're making that content? Is it something that you wanted to do, or is it something that you just woke up and said, this is what I'm going to do no matter how I feel?
I think I did want to do it. It was actually a lot of fun for me. I really, really enjoyed creating content. I still do. It's one of my favorite things to do. The tough part was because I had this just the voice in the back of my head, like, what's the point? Why are we doing this? It's not going to do anything anyways. Like, nothing we've ever done has worked. What makes you think this is going to be any different? You're just wasting your time. That was the voice in the back of my head. That was the biggest thing to get over. But again, like, when you're in that situation, it's like I either do this or I continue feeling this way. And I did not want to feel that way anymore. So just getting past that little voice in the back of your head that says you're not good enough, you're wasting your time, this is stupid, you're a failure, you're the biggest loser on planet Earth, whatever. It's okay to, I think, here's the thing, is I think it's okay to feel that. Like, I didn't even really try and block it out. I didn't try and do like mental exercise or anything. I drowned it out with action. Like, I shut it up. I shut that voice up by just doing stuff every single day until eventually the wins that you get are more than the losses that you've had. Like, you start stacking wins every single day, no matter what it is. Those little wins really, really add up over the long run, and it starts to drown that voice out. And then that makes you want to take even more action. Now it compounds on itself, right? And not letting that voice in your head that tells you you're a loser and you're a failure or whatever, not letting that dictate your actions or the lack thereof, I think was the biggest thing for me that allowed me to plow through it and just move forward.
Have you read of the book, The Untethered Soul?
I have not. I'm gonna have to write that one down.
I'll send you that book, and it talks about the voice in your head. It's my top 3 book. I'll send it to you
Nice.
via Amazon. But that is such a profound book because we all have that voice in our head, and it's always telling us BS. It's always telling us BS. It's lying to us all the time. You know, we'll start worrying about things. That voice in your head will start saying things, and it never, 99% of the time, it never comes true. So the fact that you just kept taking action and drowned that voice out, where so many other people would just listen to that voice and think that that's what the truth is such a huge takeaway for people to really build success. And full disclosure, I really don't like doing interviews. I don't like posting. I don't like doing any of it. It's so unnatural to me, but I'm just doing it over and over and over, just putting myself out there. Right? Do I think I'm the best communicator? Absolutely not. Do I need coaching? 100%. But by me going through the process and by me just putting myself out there, the process is where you get the skills developed, right? You're putting in the reps and you'll become stronger from it. And that's a huge skill to develop over time.
You're 100% right. And there's a couple of things I want to address there. Is one, you got to push past your comfort zone. There was a great quote that I saw a long time ago. It's, everything that we want is on the other side of our comfort zone. A rephrase, it can be everything we want is on the other side of fear, stuff like that, right? But same concept. You got to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Okay, that's number 1. 100%. Number 2, what you said is, are you the best communicator? You're not comfortable doing podcasts, whatnot. I think you're a great communicator. I've watched your content. I think you do a fantastic job. But here's the thing: is even when we have that voice in our head, that still shouldn't stop us, because I'm not the best marketer in the world. I'm not the best content creator in the world. I'm not the best on doing interviews. But you don't have to be. You don't have to be the absolute best in whatever it is that you do. You could strive for it if that's what you want to do, and that's what's going to help push you every single day. Like, I want to be the best. But you don't have to be in the best, or like the top 1% of people with what you do. You just need to do it. Keep getting better every single day. Share your message, share your value with people, and that's it. And just keep learning, getting better every single day. And eventually, if you can get to the top 20, 30%, you will do really well. As long as you're putting your name out there and people know you exist and what you do, you will do very well. Like I said, I'm not the best marketer in the world. I would say I would put myself in the top 20, 30% just based on the results that I've gotten. But I'm definitely not the top 5% or 1%. And I still built a pretty good business out of it. So you don't have to be the best. Just do. Push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Take action. Put yourself out there. Provide value to people. You're gonna knock it out of the park, man.
100%. And look at your case and your example. The past 4 years, your transformation from like completely rock bottom to where you're at now is such a huge achievement. And the crazy thing is you've got so much momentum rolling from all that action you took over the course of those 4 years. 4 years is not that long of a time to like completely turn your life around, but it's the compound effect. You're hockey sticking. You're just going to continue to become more and more successful because of all those foundations that you've been building. Right. And the content that you're putting out there, and your channel Leads for Locals, that's the name of it, right? Yep. There's so much value from that. I mean, I've been able to grow, my marketing from watching those videos, and I've gotten so much value from it. And awesome. I appreciate you pouring your heart into it and putting all that effort, because it's a lot of work to put this content out and to edit and to come up with different topics that you're going to talk about.
Yep.
And the point is, it just pays off by just, you know, continuing to push forward.
It does. Yeah. Got to continue pushing forward, building the foundation, and eventually it takes off. That's how it works.
100%. And as a result of, you know, the success you've had all this time, I mean, you've been able to save a good amount of money, right? So far, like you've really turned your finances completely around by just really just putting your head down and putting in work. But tell me, what are the different ways that you're utilizing the money and having that money work for you?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I got really good at saving money. So as my income increased significantly, my expenses did not. I still have my expenses very low compared to income. And when you look at things like Parkinson's law, it's usually the opposite. But when you've been rock bottom, you never ever want to go there again. And so you tend to be a lot more diligent and a better steward of your money and what you do with it, right? So when the agency started to take off, I wasn't looking at like, how do I invest my money? You know, what's the latest ETF I can put it in, or cryptocurrency, or anything. I was just saving. That was it. And just focusing on continuing to build the marketing agency. But eventually I got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to start putting this to work. Like, it's just, you know, I got money sitting here. It's not really doing much. And that was when interest rates started to increase. And so, you know, I started with T-bills. You know, they were paying, I think they're still paying 5.5% right now, high yield CDs and stuff like that. But I remember this concept called infinite banking. I'd heard about it a long time ago. I heard about IUL, Indexed Universal Life, a long time ago, but I was just never in a position to really take advantage of it. Now I was. So I started going down that rabbit hole again. And this is what eventually led me to do what I'm doing now. But I was very, very close to putting a large amount of money into an Indexed Universal Life policy, because all of the content that I was consuming, I mean, it just talked about how great it is, right? All the upside potential, downside protection, and all the retirement income you can get later on. It sounded really good. And I like to think that I'm pretty good at doing my research, especially when it comes to large amounts of money. But there really wasn't a ton of content, at least that I was exposed to, that talked about the other side, that had the other side of the conversation. And that's when I found Chris Kirkpatrick's channel, and he was disclosing all of the things that could go wrong with these things. And I started going down this rabbit hole of the difference between IUL and whole life and how infinite banking actually works. And a couple of things came out of that. One, I feel very lucky that I found Chris when I did, because I was very close to dumping a bunch of money into that IUL. And I realized once I learned how it worked and the risks involved and all the things that can go wrong, it was not for me. Maybe it's for some people, definitely not for me once I understood how it worked. And then when I understood how dividend paying whole life insurance worked and how it's used for infinite banking, it was a no-brainer. I was like, this is just such in alignment with my values, beliefs, principles, wanting to keep my money as safe as possible, but put it in the most efficient vehicles possible. And so that's where I'm at now, where I put obviously not all of my money, but I put a large amount of my safe money, my opportunity money, my emergency money, and just money that I was looking to put to work into. I've got 2 policies now, and you know, these policies, I get 3 to 5% tax-free compound growth for life. I'm able to use my policy. I just closed on my first investment from my policy, flipping heavy equipment. It's very similar to real estate, like flipping real estate. It's just heavy equipment.
Can you walk me through that?
Yeah. So just like you would purchase a distressed piece of property and then fix it up and then resell it. So my business partner does the same exact thing. I purchase the heavy equipment. It could be forklifts and whatnot. And he fixes them up, puts some repairs into it. He sells them through his company, and then we split the profit once it's sold. Very, very similar to real estate. I think it's a little bit of an easier process, there's a lot less restrictions and red tape to it, but
You don't have to deal with escrow.
right. Nothing wrong with real estate though, but that's one way that I'm doing it. So another way to put it is so it's one thing to have a skill set making money. I think it's another thing having a skill set, learning how to put that money to work, learning other ways to utilize that money and put it to work. That's a whole other skill set, like flipping equipment, private money lending, or whatever it is that you want to do. That's just what works for me right now. So I'm using my policy to do the heavy equipment flipping. I'm going to be doing private money lending very soon. And those are just multiple ways of putting the money to work that I've made that I feel comfortable with. Because I'm not necessarily I don't say like never take risk or anything. Obviously there's risks in these types of things, but if you can mitigate those risks, these things are backed by hard assets. I could take possession of it if I wanted to. You purchase them low enough, like very, very low LTV, you could say, then your risk is pretty low. So those are like the main things that I'm doing with my money now. I still have treasury bills. I have some money in the bank, not nearly as much as I did though. I moved most of it into these life insurance policies, and yeah, I'm just gonna be focusing on the heavy equipment and the private money lending, and just letting my policies grow. That's my plan right now.
I think that's huge. I think there's so many people playing the car flipping game that it really isn't as lucrative as it used to be because everybody's on that game. But I think that niche of heavy equipment is a better play for now, at least.
Yeah,
Right?
and I like it too because he sells mostly to business owners. So
They're
yeah,
not gonna
it's a
haggle.
lot different than car flipping for sure.
100%. So tell me, it sounds like you put substantial amount of money in these whole life policies, but you hear so many things like it's just a scam. Why would you put money into
Mhm.
these policies when it's a scam? It just kind of doesn't make sense to me.
Well, that argument doesn't really make sense to me when people say that it's a scam. Well, what do you mean by that? How are you coming to that conclusion? If I were to say the stock market's a scam, or 401ks are a scam, IULs are a scam, real estate's a scam, just because people have lost money in it, is that true? No, they're not scams. Whole life insurance is just life insurance. It just happens to be the fact that you can custom design them for whatever it is whatever your goals are, whatever your situation is. And you can structure them in a way to be extremely efficient. With my policies, I have access to about 90% of my cash value in the first year. And when people listen to the likes of Dave Ramsey, who says that you don't get access to any of your cash value for 3 years and it's a terrible place to put your money, it's a scam, whatever. But yeah, it sounds really bad. But again, you're only hearing one half of the story. And that was the part that was really frustrating to me, is like people bashing on this thing, like, and not telling the whole story. Like, it's such a powerful vehicle. It's definitely not a scam. I don't see how it could be. It's just a contract, and I'm utilizing it in my life right now. I used it to consolidate all of my mother's credit card debt. I used it to purchase my vehicle. I used it to flip the heavy equipment, and I'm able to put that money back into the policy and reuse it over and over and over again. All the while, I have this massive death benefit. I have living benefits. It's going to get that 3 to 5% tax-free compound growth. What is the scam about that? I don't know. It's just that argument has never really made any sense to me. It's just, I think it comes from a place of just not understanding how they actually work. That's really what it is.
I think there's just a lot of misinformation out there. There's been I think there's also been a huge campaign against it. I think Wall Street has campaigned against it with their marketing campaigns, and they say things long enough that it becomes true, even though it's not. It's just propaganda at that point.
Right. And what's funny about what you're saying about Wall Street is, guess who is the biggest purchaser of cash value whole life insurance? It's Wall Street. These big banks, they own billions and billions and billions of dollars of these things. It's called bank-owned life insurance. Look it up. So if it was that big of a scam, Are banks really dumping billions and billions of dollars into this thing because it's a scam? No, definitely not.
Yeah.
They want you to buy their products, their ETFs, their IRAs, their 401ks, because that's how they extract the most amount of wealth from you. When you set these policies up, we are exiting that system. They're not able to extract as much wealth from us anymore. So of course they don't want us to know about it. Of course they want us to think it's a scam, because otherwise they would take money out of their pocket, you know? So you just got to do your own research. When you understand how it works, you're like, I came to the conclusion that this is the most powerful financial vehicle in the world. I've never seen anything like it. It's like how many benefits you get from it, all the things it does for you. It's incredible. So call it a scam is just stupid, in my opinion.
and you have a good term for it. You call it the Swiss Army knife of the financial world. And it really is. There's so many different uses for it. I mean, I use it in my life, and I actually became an agent to go through the whole process and understand it. And I talked to PhDs myself to really just understand how everything works within the policy, how the general fund works, how the cash value works, all the different intricacies. I had to do that in order to get a policy for myself.
Sure.
But then it's also my goal to help break it down and just lay out the facts so people can make educated decisions,
right?
And whether it's a right fit for them in their lives.
Yeah.
So tell me, Matt, what are the top 3 things that you'd tell someone how to get started with the business and how to increase their revenue in their life?
Yeah. I can only share what has worked in my life, and I would go back to the formula that works for me. If you're looking to start a business, regardless of what kind of business it is, I really like online businesses. I like service-based businesses. That's just me personally, but whatever business you want to do, it's starting with what do you know how to do? What's your skill set? What do you like to do? What are you really good at? What are you better at than other people? Right? When people ask you for advice, even if you have a job right now, and like a lot of people think that they can't start a business with their job or whatnot. But when you have a job, that usually means like they hired you for a reason. You're really good at something. You know how to do something. Okay. Even if I'm just giving examples here. Even if what you're really good at has nothing to do with your job, I'm saying identify what you're really good at. Okay. And I'll give another example. When I was in Vegas, I worked in a call center for Win and Encore. It was awesome, actually. It was a really good job. But call centers, that's a tough job, right? The one at Win and Encore wasn't. It was actually really good. But when I got really good at it, and it might not seem like you could create a business around something like that. But when you get really good at something, can you teach people how to do really good at a call center? Can you teach people how to create content, right? Can you teach people how to do X, Y, Z, whatever? Just using what you're really good at as an idea of the type of business that you could start, I think is a good place to look at. And it's identifying high value skill set that the marketplace will pay you for. Okay, what does that look like for you? And then just getting as good as you possibly can at it, just every single day. Read, watch something, test something new, whatever. Just keep getting as good as you possibly can at that skill set. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is the massive action part, where every day you do something to put your name out there. I personally think that starting some type of content marketing channel is the most powerful way to build a long-term business. You don't typically get results in the short term. It takes a while to build up. But Charles, I have videos that I did on my marketing channel that I did years ago that still generate leads and customers for my business today, plus the ad revenue that it gets, right? So a content marketing channel, in my opinion, is the absolute best way to build a business long-term, because every piece of content you create is like a 24/7 salesperson for you, your brand, your business at that point. It's going to continue to work for you over and over and over again, right? So taking massive action, sharing your skill set with people, okay? providing value, answering questions, creating content that gets the light bulbs to go off in people's head, answer the questions that they have, or show them that there's a solution to the problem that they have that you can solve, right? And the three main channels, you got a podcast, YouTube channel, you could do a blog. Pick one and just stick with it. Whatever is going to be best for you. I like YouTube. I think video is the most powerful way to do it, but pick whatever channel you want to share your skill set on. I don't care what it is. Okay. When you learn something new or you got questions that you can answer, maybe you can put a webinar together, whatever it is, take massive action every single day sharing that skill set. That's step number 2. And then step number 3 is don't get in your own way. Don't quit. Give it time. Step number 3 is time. You have to give it enough time. There's going to be plenty of times where you get discouraged, you want to quit. I wanted to quit my marketing agency almost every day. It was like, what is the point of doing this? It's never going to work, whatever. But just give it enough time. And I promise you, if you do those 3 things, eventually you will start to get results. And I mean, that's what worked for me. So that's what if there were 3 steps for people to increase, start a business, increase their revenue, that would really be it.
What would you say are high-end skill sets, like high-value skill sets? What would you kind of focus on there?
For me personally, it's things like marketing. For like my skill set was generating leads, building sales funnels, building follow-up automations. I think right now, if you become really good with AI, I think you can make an absolute fortune in that business as well. Software as a service products, like copywriting, anything that can generate a high value result for somebody. So for example, if I charge a business owner $1,000 to set up a Facebook ad campaign that's going to bring in $10,000 of revenue, is he going to pay that on a regular basis? Probably. Yeah. Because that's a really good end result for somebody. Really, if you're good at sales, if you're able to close deals, things like that are high value skill sets. But at the end of the day, it doesn't even necessarily have to be any of those things. It could be something as simple as you could set up your own e-commerce store, your own website that sells, maybe you're a painter or, you put together, I don't know, just like turning your hobby into a business. And then you can create a content channel around that, sharing how you do that stuff. And eventually maybe you can put a course together, whatever. Like all of these things are different types of high value skill sets. And you tend, when you start to go down that path, you end up learning even more high value skill sets that maybe you branch off with at some point. So, but those are just a few examples. At the end of the day, you got to figure out what do you like to do? What are you good at? What intrigues you? What's going to get you excited to go to work every day and work on this thing? I was fascinated with this marketing stuff. I thought it was really cool. I love, I'm a tech nerd with that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of fun for me, which made it a little bit easier to give it the amount of time that it needed. So at the end of the day, it's what are you really good at? And once you identify that, start sharing it with the world. That's what I would say.
Those are solid takeaways. I think one thing I'd like to add is Garrett Gunderson. He talks about what's your investor DNA or what's your IP, intellectual property DNA, and really he's like, well, what interests you? He kind of boils it down, and he helps you find what you are interested in, and then you go with that medium, whatever it is. If it's podcasting, if it's interviewing people, if it's being interviewed, if it's writing, he says, go all in with that. And then you'll be far more successful than doing something that you may not want to do. But
Absolutely.
overall, it's crazy how when you take massive action and when you just keep pushing forward, how opportunity finds you. It's not luck. It's just because you're in the zone and you're just going after it. It's like things just appear out of nowhere, or ideas pop up that, it could be $1 million idea. And it's the only way that idea would come to your mind is if you're actually taking action and going forward with whatever you're doing.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. That's when you're taking that action. I mean, opportunity just tends to be attracted to you. It wants to find you, and you start seeing those opportunities that you wouldn't have seen otherwise if you weren't taking the action. So I think that's huge.
100%. So Matty asks, tell me, how can viewers get a hold of you? What are your channels? How can we get in touch with you, man?
Yeah, so I have 2 YouTube channels right now. Leads for Locals, that's my marketing one. And then the newer one is called Millennial Wealth Creator. That's where I'm sharing my journey using infinite banking, dividend paying whole life insurance, talking about the risk of IULs, what you need to be careful for. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. And then I got, like in all of my videos, I have links to my Facebook groups and stuff. You can connect with me in there as well. So yeah, that would be the best way.
Awesome. And also, everybody, his links will be inside the description as well. So be sure to check him out. He's got a lot of cool master classes that are available for free. I recommend you guys, if you guys are interested in a marketing agency or you're interested in infinite banking or any of those things, click those links and go through them and get educated with what we got. But until next time, guys, keep moving forward.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. It's a good conversation.
Right on, brother.